Salvete discipuli. It came to my attention that salvete is the proper way to say hello to a group. So since this video is intended for more than one person to watch, I ought to be saying salvete. So there you go, salvete discipuli. This is Help for Your Latin Studies, Henle Latin, first year, exercise 44. And in this exercise, there's two parts. They want us to tell what forms the nouns are and also translate the phrases from Latin to English. If you're using Latin Workspace A for classical conversations, then I think there's only space there for the translation. But it is good to think through the forms of the nouns as well. We've added some new vocabulary. We're in the third declension. We have been, with our previous vocabulary lists, declining the nouns according to rule number 57, lex, in the grammar book. But this week's vocabulary adds some nouns in the third declension that ought to be declined by rule 58 in the grammar book parse. Just a couple things to remember there, and of course there are exceptions, but the rules are if the nominative singular and genitive singular are both the same number of syllables, as in caedes, caedis, or hostis, hostis, or colis, colis, they all have two syllables, okay? Then we would follow number 58. The only difference between the two being that the genitive plural of lex has an ending. That is the primary way to to decline the nouns. And the genitive plural of parse has the I stem or eum ending. That's the only difference between those two, 57 and 58. So number one, if the nominative singular and the genitive singular noun forms have the same number of syllables, then you will decline the noun with the eum ending in the genitive plural. Also, if the stem of the noun ends with two consonants, as in partis, I would take off the is ending, that's the genitive singular ending on the third declension, and I'm left with the stem part, rt, both consonants, so two consonants there. Same thing with gens, gentis. If I take off the is ending of that genitive singular form, I'm left with gent, or the last two letters being nt, so two consonants. If the stem of the noun ends with two consonants, then you would decline it according to number 58, meaning the genitive plural would have eum for an ending rather than Okay, so those are the two rules, and of course, if you look down further, there are exceptions to those rules as well. But for this week, the exercises that we'll be doing, for the most part, maybe entirely, are going to just follow the rules. At least this vocabulary list is just going to follow that rule. And this vocabulary list, every word on it, would be declined according to number 58. Now, that doesn't mean that all of our exercises will only be using this vocabulary. Some of the exercises will be mixing in previous vocabulary from other lists as well. So it's good to be aware and alert of all of those differences. But number one in exercise 44 is pars hostium. Okay? Pars hostium. And I know right away that pars is a nominative singular noun. And because it ends in S, I can assume by the Sachs rule that it is also feminine. So I'll put that in there as well. Part. And then hostium, my ending here is IUM. Hostis, hostis, that means enemy. And that IUM ending is appropriate because hostis, hostis, both the nominative singular and genitive singular forms have 2 syllables. So I'm following the number 58 rule for declining that third declension noun, hostis. And that puts my genitive plural ending as an ium, I-U-M. Okay, so I know that this is, I wrote nominative. Okay, this is genitive, plural, and enemy, as in war, I believe would be considered masculine, since men fought in wars. And that is a natural gender rule being followed there. Okay, so to translate this, we have the word part in the nominative form, or as a subject, in other words. And then hostium is in the genitive plural, so it will be translated of the, and then I'm going to pluralize the noun enemies. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2 has propter, quaedam, gentium. Okay. A propter is not a noun. We know that that's a preposition. We also know of the 4 prepositions that have been introduced to us so far, propter is one that takes the accusative as its object. So quaedam, following the preposition propter, ought to be in the accusative form. And if I check quaedes, quaedis, again, I've got the 2 syllables in both nominative singular, genitive singular, so I'm going to follow number 58 for declining that noun. And that em ending shows up right here as the accusative case, and it's singular. So I have an accusative, which makes sense for this preposition, singular, and then I'm gonna question mark the gender. I have to check closer my rules. Slaughter might be masculine, but I don't know if I can conclusively say that according to natural gender. Because it does have the S ending, which might put it in the SOX, Sox category, which would make it feminine. Okay, and then gentium. Gentium, gens, gentis means tribe. And again, I have that eum ending because the root, or the stem rather, of my genitive singular, if I drop that is ending, I have gent, 2 consonants at the end, which would call for me to decline it according to number 58, which would make the genitive plural eum. So I have a genitive plural and I'm going to guess feminine noun. And if I translate that, propter means on account of. Quaedam means slaughter, so I'll put the slaughter. And then gentium, being in the genitive plural, means of the, and then I need to pluralize our noun tribes. Okay? Let's do one more. Number 3, cum hostibus. Cum hostibus. Cum we know is a preposition which means with. And this particular preposition in Latin takes the ablative case. So I need to check my noun chart here. Ibis is a plural ablative in this case because it's partnered with a preposition. So it's ablative, it's plural, and it's masculine. So my translation would be with the enemies. I hope this is helpful for you. Have a great day.